What's going on, y'all? My name is Brian Sanchez, and welcome to Living the Magic. Having a little coffee here this morning, going through my Twitter feed, catching up on some conversations, and came across this article yesterday from blogmickey.com that started a conversation that I got in on Twitter talking about a potential retheme of Pecos Bill's Tall Tale Inn and Cafe. I want to dive into this because the article is interesting, as most Disney parks rumors kind of start. It always kind of starts with someone noticed something happening in the park that seemed a little out of place. You can go and check out the article. It is linked in the description below. But essentially, someone from their team noticed a few what they call high-profile Imagineers walking through the restaurant and discussing, I guess, some aspects of the layout and the theming in the restaurant. I guess that's all it really takes to start a rumor these days on the internet, but, that does get people start talking, and there's a rumor now that Pecos Bill will be the next casualty, if you want to call it, to the retheme of the Splash Mountain attraction into Tiana's Bayou Adventure, which, of course, the attraction actually closed last week, had its last days of operation in Orlando. We're looking forward to Tiana and the attraction coming there, but there is always room for expansion. There's always room for, improvements and changes that are coming into the parks. And it seems that Pecos Bills could be the next one that gets the Tiana treatment, if you will. I've been on record saying that, in all honesty, as much as I love that Tiana is getting an attraction, it always made more sense to me that she would get a restaurant. It's what the movie is all about. That's what she's always wanted. She's always wanted to have her own restaurant and, to live up to the legacy of her family and her father and share her love and passion for food. And so the fact that she's getting an attraction before she would get a restaurant seems a bit weird, but I understand that a restaurant doesn't necessarily bring people into the park and get the word out. An attraction definitely does. So, I get why they're putting Tiana and those characters into what used to be Splash Mountain. But this makes all the sense in the world. If you're not going to put a restaurant at Port Orleans, which is an entire resort hotel themed to New Orleans, there's a French Quarter section and I forget what the other section is called, but basically it's all New Orleans themed. And so if you're not going to put Tiana's place in that hotel, then yes, it makes perfect sense for them to put this kind of a restaurant retheme expansion, whatever you want to call it, right next to her new attraction and basically make that back half of Frontierland be a miniature New Orleans square, as it were. I think the implementation of Tiana into, the parks at Disneyland is probably going to be a little bit easier to fit that into already existing theming. The location of Splash Mountain at Disneyland is back on the edge of Frontierland. You have Critter Country, and it kind of butts up next to New Orleans Square. And so it makes it very easy to just kind of extend that theming past Pirates of the Caribbean, past the Haunted Mansion, and then into where Critter Country. Well, I'm getting real close to the camera for those watching on YouTube. Sorry about that. For those, those theming elements to kind of easily transition into, you got New Orleans Square, the French Quarter. Man, I am knocking the microphone around too. I'm an amateur podcaster today, folks. I do apologize. New Orleans Square, Pirates of the Caribbean. There's a restaurant already going over there. They've already announced that they are retheming I forget what that restaurant is called, but the restaurant right there next to Pirates of the Caribbean is already going to be rethemed as a Tiana themed restaurant. And as you get closer to the Haunted Mansion, you kind of get towards the outskirts of town. There's that, little bit of a swamp bayou vibes on the outside. And then as you keep going, you're just going to continue that. And then Splash Mountain becomes that deep into the bayou, area where there's magic, there's, all that stuff. And you get the story of Tiana. And I think by retheming Pecos Bills at Magic Kingdom in Orlando, you can kind of do the same thing. The front half of Frontierland can definitely still be that Western, like cowboy town that you get from Big Thunder Mountain, the Diamond Horseshoe, and, the shooting gallery and, all that stuff, Country Bear Jamboree. But as you get closer to what used to be Splash Mountain and what will now be Tiana's Bayou Adventure, you can sort of start to shift the theming just slightly, and you can basically make that more of like a bayou-themed building. You can maybe change a few elements on the outside, plant some new trees, maybe change up some of the landscaping around there just a little bit to start selling that, outside of town into the woods, into the bayou vibe, and then end up at Tiana's Bayou Adventure, which is full blown in the bayou. I think this building being the outskirts, the last building on the edge of Frontierland, makes it an easy way to build that transition. This doesn't have to become the full blown Tiana's Place that we're going to get in New Orleans Square. It doesn't have to be like right smack in the middle of New Orleans. I think this could really benefit from being sort of a smaller, sort of a fishing shack, whatever you want to call it, general store type situation where she has built a small beignet stand and, some offerings like that. You can still get some of the, great taco bowl stuff, but you can add things like jambalaya as a very easy thing to kind of add onto the menu there that kind of fits the menu that's already there, the offerings that are already there with taco bowls and things like that. You can get rice bowls with sausage and gumbo and things like that. And of course, it's beignets, man. Everybody wants beignets. We want them in the park. I got to taste Disneyland beignets for the very first time 2 years. Wow, it's been 2 years since we've been to Disneyland. And it changed my life. It absolutely changed my life. They are fantastic. It was the end of a very long day. Even though it was Christmas time, it was still a little kind of like, warmish in the park. So we were tired at the end of the day. And we sat in the French Quarter with, we got some peppermint beignets, we got some regular beignets, and we got a mint julep. And I watched the lights come on onto like Pirates of the Caribbean over there on that little patio area. And it was absolutely beautiful. And I would love for anything similar to that kind of an experience to come to the Magic Kingdom in Orlando. I think it's a fantastic idea. Folks will probably scream, this is more woke stuff coming and whatever. That's people's opinions, and you have every right to have that opinion. I think a Pecos Bill short cartoon that I don't think many people know too much about, I think, in all honesty, is a pretty easy casualty to go and replace with something that is definitely much more relevant, much more current. People seem to be much more connected with, and it ties into an already expansion that, whether you like it or not, it's happening. Splash Mountain is gone. Tiana's is coming. So I fully expect them to lean into that. And if anything they can do to make that theming make a little bit more sense, make it a little more cohesive, I'm 100% for it. So y'all want to retheme Pecos Bills? I am right there with you. I would love to know what your thoughts are about this. Do you guys like this? Do you hate it? I'm sure there's plenty of polarizing opinions. I got to be honest with you. Most of the people that I saw on my Twitter feed seem to be fairly okay with this one. I don't think there's going to be the same level of outrage about closing Splash Mountain as it would be if this does in fact become a reality. Again, this is all just rumors. It was reported on as an article on blogmickey.com. You can check out the link to that article down below. Side note about blogmickey.com though, I pulled this article up on my phone and I was just inundated with ads. I understand y'all trying to make a living, but like when I only get like a half an inch worth of actual readable space on my iPhone and the rest of my screen is like 7 different pop-up ads, maybe tone that back just a little bit. That's just my opinion. But anyways, the link to that article is in the description below. Let me know what y'all think. You can leave a comment down below. If you are watching this on YouTube, you can find me on Twitter. I am at your Primo Brian, Primo. Primo is Spanish for cousin. And of course, signalpointmedia.com if you are listening to the audio version of this. But thank y'all so much for kicking it with me this morning and letting me rant a little bit about Pecos Bills. Let me know what y'all think. And of course, make sure you are subscribed and follow us on all the socials. Links for all that stuff's down below. I really do appreciate y'all taking the time talking about this with me. That's going to do it. We'll be back next week with more episodes. We'll see y'all around. And as always, conga loose.